Thanks for tuning in to the Loser Kid Pinball Podcast. This is episode 119. I am Josh Roop. With me, my co-captain, as always,
Scott Larson.
And Scott, Expo is right around the corner. There's rumors of new games being revealed. If you want these games, who are you going to call?
Well, I'm going to call Zach and Nicole Mini just like I did when I ordered my Pinball Alley sign
Nice,
and
yes.
the Stern Pop Bumper sign.
Yes.
So I ordered both of those, and I'm super excited to get them downstairs. I actually have wanted, I wanted the old version of the Pinball Alley sign. This one's even cooler.
This one is cool.
And this one actually is open to the fans, because before you had to be a dealer to get the Pinball Alley sign.
Yep.
So, and actually that old Pinball Alley sign was like $3,000.
Well, and this is 2000, and honestly,
one of the toppers that have gone down in price. If you want a 5-foot topper, huh?
Like, do you want a Mando topper, or do you want this Stern Alley pinball sign? I would say the sign.
It looks really cool. Okay, I will say the Stern one, the Mando one's still pretty cool.
I know, that's how cool the sign is.
But yes, absolutely. This it's huge. So, yep, I would contact Zach and Nicole Mini at Flipping Out Pinball. They're always good to hook you up.
I agree. So, Scott, it's been a really good 2 weeks. We just did we were coming off the Bragg Brothers interview,
right,
which had an amazing response.
Well, okay, first off, they came huge.
Yes,
like they were engaging. They were really easy to talk to, and so any credit we get goes with having excellent guests. So I appreciate them coming on and taking the human side.
I don't know if I read this to you. I don't know if Roger will be mad at me.
Go ahead.
It's hilarious. Let me pull up an email that we got from Roger, because Roger didn't know this was happening. And
I actually want to get Roger back on.
Definitely.
Because now that we've both had time to see the movie a few times, it would be interesting to dissect it with him.
It says, Scott, Josh, Meredith, and Austin just spent a little over an hour being entertained by you all. Smiles on my faces and a wonderful surprise. Thank you. Thankfully, one of the highlighted items in This Week in Pinball, because why wouldn't my son Josh ever let me know that something was going to be aired?
I just love the jab right at Josh.
I'm glad hilarious. It's not just us; it's his dad too.
No. And you know what? Josh is actually one of the funniest guys I've ever met, and he's really good at returning the jab. So I appreciate that. That put a huge smile on my face.
Anyways, just want to send a shout out. Take care. Meet the very much older Mr. Sharp.
Yes.
So it was great to get that. I mean, we've received more feedback on this episode than probably
for a while.
Besides the Carrie Hardy episode, which we got a lot of feedback on as well. But it was a lot. Not a single positive, or not a single negative.
Not a single positive. 1 star.
Yeah. But there was people that reached out and said they don't typically like the interview styles because they feel they're too cliche. And they felt like this was very raw and smooth, and just they were impressed with how we were able to get the directors just talking with friends, right?
They were great interviewees, so we feel very honored that they came on, and amazing insight to the movie, which was a great. It's a great companion, because a lot of times when you watch a movie, you're not really sure what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And I would say everybody in pinball is still a little gun shy on anything that shines light on the hobby, just because, I mean, come on, Special When Lit, it highlighted the oddities in the hobby that's to put it kindly.
I think it's free on something right now, because I went back through it.
Yeah.
And you're right. It does kind of make us look like
it seems like it's making any fan look foolish. And
kind of.
If you have editorial control, then that seems a very vindictive thing to do when you're interviewing someone sincerely and then you portray them in a negative light.
I don't know if it's necessarily that. I can see it poorly, but it almost is like you got the most oddballs. Not most oddballs. Let me apologize. You got some more of the unique personalities when we've had so many more enter into the hobby as of late. I mean, this was recorded in 2009. This is before AC/DC. This is before the real resurgence. And even Steve Ritchie, after that movie was brought out, he kind of was, everyone felt like pinball was in a decline. Like, it was not.
Pinball was on life support.
Yeah.
and it had a do not resuscitate label on it.
Yes.
I mean, it really was hurting.
There was some glimpses. You've got Spider-Man in that era. You've got
Mhm.
was Iron Man around that time?
Yeah, so I actually did pull this up right before. So if you look at, okay, let's just say past Lord of the Rings, okay?
Yeah,
So I would say Lord of the Rings was definitely a high point
definitely.
in 2000s, right?
Yep.
Okay. So how many of these do you want? Lord of the Rings followed by Ripley's, believe it or not.
That's
Elvis.
actually a sleeper. That one is good. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
Ripley's
okay,
is
but
good.
you don't want to own it. I'm sorry, you don't.
No, I'll own well, for the price it's maybe not the price it's commanding
Yeah.
now, but maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, Elvis, Sopranos, Grand Prix, NASCAR, World Poker Tour, Pirates of the Caribbean,
Okay.
which is good. I own that
It's
one.
good. Yeah.
Dale Jr., Family Guy, Spider-Man, own that
Yep.
one.
Okay.
Wheel of Fortune, Indiana Jones, Batman the Dark Knight, Shrek, CSI, 24, NBA, Big Buck Hunter Pro, and then Iron Man is in 2010.
Okay, so we're right there at the cusp. But
So,
it's still pre-AC/DC
okay,
because I would really say
it
AC/DC
is.
was a turning point.
Well, ACDC was actually the turning point, and we'll get to that
Yes.
till later. Because after Iron Man, you have Avatar, Rolling Stones, then you start the baby turn with Tron,
Yeah. Yep.
and then Transformers, and then you really jump back onto the scene with ACDC. So it certainly was a business in crisis, a hobby in crisis.
It really was. If you wanna check out the movie yourself, it is on Tubi, Tubi. You can check it out
Okay.
for free, no extra skin off your nose. Give us your opinion because I do like I said, I think the problem was is, like, they're at the beginning, it even starts going through these people that are like, "Well, I own 50 machines," and the one's like,
Hmm.
"I own 200 machines," and then there's, like, at one
Hmm.
point, a guy's like, "I own 1,900 machines," and they're all kinda just, like, in a garage stacked up on top of each other,
Right.
and, I mean, like I said, there's some highs and lows in that movie. It's just it's a very unique look at pinball, and it's funny because I was talking to some higher ups in the industry, and I said, "Hey, you know, someone should do an updated documentary because of where Special One lit ended, you know?" And
It showed the graveyard.
yeah,
It was the dead pins in some sort of field, like
yeah.
forest. It
So
was super depressing. Yeah.
their recommendation was don't do it.
Well, but because I think they got burned. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, you did. And okay, we've all said it before that you and I have said the great thing about pinball is it is a place for everybody,
yeah,
you know, regardless of religion, regardless of politics, regardless of gender orientation, color, etc. Like
yeah,
this is something that we can all just say, "Hey, we are different. Let's play pinball."
and it's a very
And
chill hobby for the most part too.
for the most part, there are some drama trolls for
Yeah, some
sure,
flare-ups here and there.
but for the most part, I would say people are very welcoming.
Yeah, I agree.
So that I'm I'm sad that the most positive. Now it's been years since I've seen the show, but the most positive part was, I believe it's the Orange County Pinball, where it talked about they basically converted to a private collection they had leaked. That was a very positive part
Yeah.
because it showed people who were passionate, and I'm a little weird. Okay, so I'm sure if they interviewed me, I'd come off as very bizarre,
Yeah,
but it did show a genuine enthusiasm for it.
yeah.
But so anyway, I think actually the Roger Sharp movie is the best thing they could do.
Yes, 100%.
More than a documentary on how
Yes,
pinballs got back.
I agree. The Man Who Saved Pinball is a fantastic film. We rewatched it right before having the Bragg
Hmm.
brothers on. If you have not watched it yet, what are you doing?
It's
It's on
charming.
Amazon, it's on Vudu, go rent it. It's
Mhm.
on Hulu right now for free. If you got a subscription to Hulu, go watch it. It
Yeah.
is amazing. Truly is.
Yep.
Well, I got a list of stuff. Let's get going on it. I know it's not on my list, but I just remembered about 2 weeks ago, a week ago, you know, I went out to see a concert, went to go see Newfound Glory and All American Rejects, Motion C soundtrack, and the Get Up Kids. I I had very little time, so I had 30 minutes before the concert. I stopped by, found a Venom Pro, played it. I got to tell you, this game is like the epitome of a 90s Williams game.
Okay.
Maybe not, it might be minus the max. The premium might be more that way. But
Yep.
when I say epitome of 90s game, it's fan layout. The rules are pretty much like stack the stuff and do the one thing. Like reminds me of
Mhm.
Monster Bash where you
Follow the column. Yep.
yeah, like you try to line up all the monsters and then you set them all off at one time, ending on Frankenstein, so
Mhm.
you can just destroy the game, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like Venom's very much that way as well. You do the things, you stall out of multi-ball, you can actually hold off on your multi-ball. The more balls you got, the more your score goes up. Really fun game. My overall consensus right now, it's not a game I'd want in my collection, and maybe it's because it's got save progress, so it's more convincing to go out onto location, play it on location, and I can store my progress, and I'm not spending money on machine or moving something out of my collection that I'm not ready to leave yet, right? Plus, the code's still early. I kind of want to see what Dwight does. Dwight, it seems like if you've never owned a Dwight game, I've
You
owned
have
a
to wait.
handful.
You have to wait.
Well, not only that, it kind of seems like the code shifts. It's
Mhm.
almost an entirely different game from where it begins to where it
Mhm.
ends.
And
Maybe not
it can
entirely.
have a big reboot in the middle. Yeah.
Correct. So the skeleton stays the same, but the muscles get beefed up, right? Like you go from scrawny kid
Yeah.
to buff kid. So
Yeah.
it really is a fun game. Like great on you, Eddie. Great on you, Dwight, and everyone in the team that did Venom. I feel bad because I feel like this game just has stalled out, right? And
Right.
it's only been out for a month, and I
Yeah.
really think people should go out, give it a chance. You're only spending a couple bucks. You do your 2 for 3, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Go play this game. Get an opinion of it. I enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
like I said, I still don't think it's for my collection, but not every game is. So
I still would be I would be interested. I would be more interested if there were premiums on location.
same.
That's the challenge is that I the game is significantly different between the pro and the premium because the ball paths change.
Yeah.
And you have Iron Maiden behind you. Iron Maiden between pro and premium, it's pretty much the same layout.
Yeah.
Even you could argue Avengers, you could argue Avengers Infinity Quest is pretty much the same game except for the subway and the Captain Marvel shot.
Yep.
But everything else is pretty much there. You're not going to get the different ball paths on the pro.
Correct.
It is what it is. And so that's why I would really still like to play a premium to fully assess the game. However, this may be the first game that actually thrives on location
Yeah.
in that people are able to save their progress because no other game does that right now.
Yeah.
So that this is a risk. We've talked about it. This is a risk for Stern. It's a different layout. It's a more simple layout. I mean, but it does have that option that people may want that that second coin drop.
Yeah. I agree. Speaking of Eddie Games, Stranger Things was just announced that they vaulted on Tuesday.
Yeah,
Doesn't seem like there's much difference from the original to what they have now.
right. Well, there is a difference between the original and this one.
What's that?
It's $2,000 more.
That is true.
So
Well, even the Pro. Well, what did the Pro come out at?
I don't remember, but it
Keep
was
going, but
yeah,
do you think obviously they're trying to meet a demand, right? Like
they are.
we
They
saw
are.
during COVID
Yeah.
how much of demand there was for this game. Do you think it cooled off too much? Do you think it was still smart to remake this?
Yes, it was smart to remake it. It takes very limited resources. If they're able to renew the license, they're able to spit some out. I mean, how long did they spit out Star Trek? It was like every year they're like, "Hey, and new Star Trek's coming out." So
Yeah.
they can kick out 200, 300. With Stranger Things, who knows? How many do you think they're going to make? 1,000? How many? Like, there's maybe, but if they have the parts and they just need to manufacture those, they can put it online to fill a need. And we have talked to them before about in the Williams days. It was like, hey, just run it until it dies, and then you swap it, and that's pretty much the run. Stern's current model is that you can plug it back in if the demand's there. And the demand was obviously there.
Yeah.
Was there enough demand to warrant how many they're making? I don't know. This does cost basically almost $2,000 more, and
Yes.
you still have to buy the UV kit and install it.
Yes.
I, I, I would be more interested if the game came in a premium with the UV kit installed. Just because that it's also 2000 and you add the $300 for that. That pushes it close to $10,000. Is it a
Yeah.
$10,000 game? Maybe. Maybe for some. I I still hold to the fact that I have Attack from Mars, and that's not going anywhere because my kids won't let me.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to have both of those in my collection. But there are people who really love Stranger Things and they want that theme.
Yep. Okay, so when I originally released, the Pro was 6,100, which now it's 7,000. So $900 isn't a like. I mean,
Not too much.
let's. You can really chalk that up to inflation. I mean,
Inflation.
this.
Yeah, that's inflation.
I mean, everything else is inflated right now. When did this originally drop? December 30th, 2019 is when the
So 4 years
original.
ago. Yeah.
So 4 years ago. Okay, premium 7,700 versus now it's 9,700. So you're right. It is $2,000
It's
difference to a
$2,000.
T.
Yeah.
And then limited edition 9,100.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And if it was nowadays, it'd be 13,
Yeah.
which honestly, anyone will tell you the most moneymaker is the limited edition.
Well,
So
the most margin for them,
sorry, yes,
for
most
sure.
margin.
Yes.
Yes. But if you really take the premium, you take the projector out of it and the telekinetic magnet.
Wait, you mean if you take the Pro?
What I'm saying, if you took the premium and you took that stuff out, you
Right.
have the Pro. I mean,
Right.
there's
Sure.
really not much difference. So it's funny because don't get me wrong, I love the projector. I think the
Sure.
projector is amazing. I'm a big fan of Pinball 2000. It heralds back to that for me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that Brian Eddy was trying to make the game he never was able to when Pinball 2000 came out.
Probably. Yeah.
But I just at this point, I had what I say 6,100 versus 77,
Mm-hmm.
$1,600 difference. I guess really it's only a $400 difference when it first came out. I still just don't know if it's worth $2,000 difference now.
I think it is to the right person.
Yes.
And there are still people who connect with this theme. I would say the theme has cooled off a little bit. I still have not seen Stranger Things. So
Dude.
I know I'm an outlier. But that's, that I it's selling. I would say it's selling well enough.
Yes. I think
Does
there
the,
wasn't enough for location, and that's where they're going.
yeah. And yes, it kills on location.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely kills on location.
I
So,
I think honestly, so while I waited for Venom, I stood in line and I played a Stranger Things because no one was
mhm.
playing it. It is a really good game. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Attack from Mars-esque. I will give it that. I do enjoy the ramp. I do enjoy I love the achievements now attached to it.
Mhm.
Before that didn't have that, right? It released in 2019.
Yep, it was not insider connected.
But if you drop the I don't know what's called, the shield, the ramp, whatever it is, and you see the Demogorgon,
Yeah.
and you kill it first shot, which you get right in the hole instead of hitting it on its lips or
Did
whatever
they
it is.
fix it so you can get it in the hole? Because
Yeah,
that
I,
was
I was able to.
okay.
So I
Because
got an
that was
achievement
one of the
called
huge problems with the
yeah,
original is that you'd get brick after brick.
yeah. So I got it, and it gives you an achievement called Hole in One, and so I thought that was pretty comical. I don't know,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I still don't understand the little launch thing on the left, similar to the catapult in Minute of Madness, but instead of coming
Mhm.
all the way around and wrapping back to you,
Mhm.
this shoots at the drop targets. And I
Hmm.
don't know if it's pretty much just like, oh, I ricocheted in there and this is my consequence.
Yeah.
'Cause I can't remember if there's really any purpose to get into that hole versus just pure consequence of being in there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I thought it was a good game. It's very, very fast.
Mhm.
I would honest I don't know. I don't know if I'd want Stranger Things over Venom. I probably would want Stranger Things over Venom in my collection.
Okay. And this is the problem. You have two Eddie games that came
Yes.
out within a month of each other. One
Yep.
is a proven re-release.
Yep.
One of them is a new concept. So it's a little risky,
Yep.
but maybe Stern is playing the long game and Venom is a test case. They may see how it does. And even if they have to pivot with the initial production, if the license can't be that expensive,
Yeah.
they could probably renew it and keep making that for a while.
Well, do you want to know a dirty little secret if you've never noticed this?
Shh.
So when a designer or a coder, sorry, it's more of the coder than it is the designer. But when the coder slash designer is making their new game, they will take the base of their last game and they'll shift stuff around, they'll improve upon it. If you remember when James Bond came out last year, it was very early. It was like point 0.6 code, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was Lonnie Ropp who was doing the code on that.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing he had done was Stranger Things. It still had the Stranger Things text.
Yeah, yeah, it did, and that
And so
that was unfortunate.
so my point being is when you're getting a Godzilla, you're essentially getting Avengers, Jurassic Park, and Iron Maiden. All the code's all there for that, but it's
Mm-hmm.
being shifted around, it's being improved upon, it's being molded into a new pot,
It's
right?
like
Like
the scaffolding's there, and they're just
correct.
moving walls. Yeah.
Correct. So Venom, where I'm going with this, sorry. Venom, I think, is always going to be now a Dwight thing where it has experience points built into the code. I could be wrong. They
Mm-hmm.
could be like, no, we're never doing that again. They could.
Mm,
It is what
I
it is.
think
I
it
don't know.
I think they will. That drives people to location and makes people say, "Hey, I don't have to start from scratch every time." You
Yeah.
get that with modern gamers. That's what they're trying to go after, right?
Yep.
You're getting at the people who want to build the experience.
So they put all this into Venom. So now that system has been built. It will move on to the next one. So I think they're preparing too because Spike 3 is supposed to be coming out sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that advances code and depth as well.
Hmm.
I mean, these games are insanely deep.
Yep.
Anywho, so I guess what's your overall verdict of Stranger Things?
I don't know if it. I don't think it cannibalizes off Venom sales.
Okay.
So I don't. It's not really a competitor to Venom. If you're going to be interested in Stranger Things, then absolutely pick this up. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty much the going rate of games, and it may be unfair to say, well, it's $2,000 more, but it's the same game because we have 4 years of inflation and
Yeah.
some crazy things that happen in the market. So that is, even though it's true, it's that's part of the scheme of pinball is that you're gonna have pay increases.
Even
It's
look
the same thing. Same with cars, right? Same with
yeah.
cars.
Heck, even look at Little Caesars. It's the first time they've had an inflation or a
Mm,
price increase in the last like 20 some odd years. And it was a 50% markup. I mean, it was not cheap by any means. I mean, it was 40%. I mean, it went from $5 to $7 or 7.50. It
yeah,
might even be up to 8 now, isn't it? I
I
can't
I
remember.
don't really. The only Little Caesars version I like is the Detroit style, which is basically the old deep dish square version. That's the only
Yeah.
one I like. But
They take their Italian cheese bread and put some pizza, some
yep.
pepperonis on top. Yep.
Hmm.
But all right, let's move on. We've got Pinball Expo coming up. I don't know if we'll record before the next Expo,
Maybe.
uh,
Yeah.
or because we're literally 2 weeks from yesterday is when the stuff will start.
Yep.
So things we're looking forward to. I guess you'll be home.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm working. So
Party pooper.
it'll be interesting. I'll definitely be talking to Josh throughout the event, and Josh
Yeah.
will have the 3.0 hats.
Yep.
So
I just put
that's
the order in for those on Monday. So
awesome.
they promised me they would have them all by next Friday, and we had quite the response to those.
Good.
Holy crap!
And they're great hats. So
Yes.
I'm wearing one right now. So
Well, we gave the option of the new 3.0s and the
yeah.
existing 2.0s.
Yeah.
So we had a handful of the new whites, the snapback. Holy crap!
Yeah. A lot of people like those.
Yes, it was great. I think we ended up go. 15 snapbacks is I think what I
Mhm.
ended up ordering. That was just the black, not including the white. It
Yeah.
was pretty crazy response on that. But anywho, so we have 4 reveals coming out here at Expo. We've got people that have confirmed.
Mhm.
The mystery company is releasing Labyrinth. Do you think this is a good choice for a pinball theme?
'Kay. I saw Labyrinth last year after never having seen Labyrinth before, and I could not understand why people like this movie. It's a terrible movie, legit terrible. Like, there's it doesn't make any sense. And if they're totally tapping into that nostalgia thing, go ahead. It has zero connection to me. What about you,
Yeah.
Josh?
Honestly, I don't know if it's sacrilegious or not, but I've never seen Labyrinth. I
Yeah,
know it's a
it's
classic for some.
it's a classic for my age group.
Okay.
It's one of those things. It's I would put it in the Goonies category that for some reason so many people connected with it. Not sure that the same group is going to buy Labyrinth, because I don't think it's not like one of those things where it's like, hey, it's Mario, and the younger generation connects with it. I
Yeah.
guarantee my kids watch Labyrinth. They're just like, Dad, this is kind of weird. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of weird.
Oddly though, like Dark Crystal's getting a resurgence and has its own new series on
Well, it
Netflix.
did, but it only lasted one season.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
Netflix
it
has
only
been
lasted
killing
one. It
everything, I
was
swear.
actually I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was good, but super expensive to make, the Dark Crystal. So they were getting really into, the lore of the Gelflings and the clans, and
Yeah.
how the Skeksis were basically esteemed as, uh, as a prophet figure, but they were, unknowingly very dark.
Yeah.
So I thought it was going into a very interesting, realm, but it obviously didn't last long enough for them to decide they want to renew it.
So overall, so your thought is this may or may not hit or miss, just depends on how it looks.
Yeah, I don't have a good feel. It's not for me. So I'll be curious to see other people, and let us know. Let us know if Labyrinth is one of your dream themes. I don't hear it ever as being floated before, though.
Yeah.
So there, there's those wish list of rumors. Where like, I wish this game would be made,
Yeah.
and I don't remember Labyrinth being high on that list.
I think it is smart though coming out of the gate with a license.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, you
I'm
have to at
sorry,
this
you
point.
have to. That's
Yeah.
if there's anything if there's anything that Data East slash Stern proved, is that licensing sells games.
Yep. 100%. Okay, so the next release that's coming to Expo is Elements by Pinball Adventures. What are your thoughts on this one, Scott?
I guess I'll see what the demand will be. I would say Punny Factory had a mixed release, to be fair. The were some problems with manufacturing, but Spooky's America's Most Haunted wasn't. It was a first run option.
Yeah.
It was learning how to cut your teeth in the pinball industry, and they've been able to build a company for themselves. So,
Yeah.
is it possible? Maybe. This seems to be like, the art is very interesting. It looks like a 70s, fantasy sci-fi vibe.
Yeah.
And so if that's what you're looking for, it kind of borders on like a Dungeons and Dragons art vibe.
Okay.
So we'll see if that connects with audiences. What are you thinking, Josh?
It's one of those games that I'm gonna have to play it to see what I think,
Right.
and I really don't have much interest in it besides yeah.
It may be fun though. I mean,
Yeah.
Hot Wheels was way more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, yeah.
So that was a theme that I was like, I don't know about this, but it actually works well for for that game. So we'll see if
True.
this is able to do the same thing.
I agree. Well, it'll be interesting to see what they can do. But
You are looking for niche collectors though, just because unless you have 10, 15 games, you're probably not going to take a risk on this.
yeah. Next game, a pinball machine for non-pinball people at a pinball convention. Home Pin with their third game.
Yeah. This guy is not easy to like.
Yeah.
He really has given the proverbial middle finger to pinball players.
Yep.
He's also given the middle finger to Americans.
Yeah.
So you're coming to Expo and showing a game in a pinball centric expo
Yep.
in the United States of America, where you have, by your own admission, you had bad experience with 4 customers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I It'll be interesting to see how it's received
Well, what's
because
goofy to
is
me is like if I remember in the interview, he said he wasn't going to sell to people in America anyway. So I could be
I I
wrong.
I don't know, and I'm hoping that people get second chances. We'll see.
Yeah.
None of his other choices have been something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So I doubt that he's going to find a lot of people buying it. It seems like he's going off theme,
Yep.
and it's the equivalent of a Zizzle. He flat out admitted that code was not that interesting for him.
Yeah.
So you're making a game that beeps and dings, and you're supposed to drink it at a bar, or sorry, you're supposed to play it while drinking at a bar with your friends.
Yeah.
So we'll see. That is not going to fly well in a pinball players area because people are looking for code and they're looking for something to put in their house that they're not going to get bored of in a month.
Yeah. Or bored of on the second ball.
Yeah.
That's why Stern Indiana Jones really isn't well received. You can have an amazing theme,
Yeah.
but if it's
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Right.
guess I haven't seen the sales numbers on I
I Me neither. It'll be interesting. I will look and see what is released, and I will anticipate you guys giving me a report to say how well it's played.
Yep, I will play it and let you know if I'm allowed to play it after I went off. He tends to hold grudges, and so it'll be interesting to see if I'll if he even knows who I am. Don't let that kid over here.
Yeah,
25
I
twenty-five
doubt
hundred.
it. Usually,
2,500 is how many they produced of Stern Indiana Jones, by the way.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it's received.
yeah,
It's more of an oddity. I know a lot of people who are Spinal Tap fans that even that theme was not enough to make them want to buy this game.
yeah, I agree. Alright, and then the fourth one, if it's true, JJP revealing Elton John. Sorry, Elton John is the rumor, but supposedly JJP is geared up and ready to show at Expo, which
Yeah.
is less than 8 months between Godfather and Elton John. That's pretty impressive.
Hmm.
They've promised they're gonna start pushing out about every 9 months, and so we're there.
Yeah, and okay, I think JJP makes they make great games.
Yeah,
They so Guns N' Roses is an amazing immersive experience. Toy Story, the biggest criticism I had for Toy Story was the price.
yeah,
It seemed like an awesome $8,500 game that was packaged in a $12,500 sales thing.
yeah,
So that was my stumbling block on Toy Story. However, I think it's a fun game, and I would own Toy Story right now for the right price.
yeah,
Godfather it's a very specific theme for a very specific audience. Are you going to tap into the same audience with Elton John because you are in that 70s nostalgia?
Yeah.
So are you going to be able to capture enough people who are in their 60s who are interested in buying Elton John?
I think the thing too is JJP does a great job with colorful, flamboyant
Sure.
games. I mean, Wizard of Oz with the rainbow. I mean, Guns N' Roses felt very colorful. I feel like concert machines are their niche because looking at Guns N'
It'll look
Roses,
great. I guarantee
yeah,
it'll look great.
yeah. I'm really intrigued to see because Steve Ritchie's mostly known for fast play, for
Yeah,
flow.
it doesn't seem to be the fit for him.
Yeah.
He's more of a hard rock guy, not a 70s pop guy.
Well, there was some heavier stuff that he produced, but still, point being
What,
is
the Elton John?
yeah. You
Okay,
don't think
maybe
s
Saturday Night's all right for fighting.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
one song?
Well, okay. It's great, but he's also known for like Daniel's song and
Yeah. But we're also talking to man about a man that his hits were 60s and 70s, right? Like,
right.
am I going too early with 60s?
Yeah.
When
70s was really his wheelhouse. He still had some things in the 80s too,
okay.
but 70s was really the his era. So you're looking at it's 50 years later, so people who were in their 20s, so you're looking at 70-year-olds.
Skyline Pigeon, 69. Goodbye, let's see, Rocket Man, 72.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're looking at that, and there's some stuff in the 80s as well.
Sure.
I just don't
Well,
look at this list and
Captain
go,
Fantastic is a 70s game.
"Yeah."
I
I just don't look at these these songs though and just think concert pin. And granted, I've never seen Elton John live. But I have
Elton
went to
John's really good. He's a really good. I've seen him live.
I haven't seen
He's a great player and a great entertainer. But he, like his songs, he is 70,
yeah,
so it's people in his age demographic who will likely be buying this pin.
yeah,
However, if it's done really well, then it could be one of those old as new things.
yeah,
It'll I'm most curious about this because it'll be interesting to see the the supposition was that Steve was not able to make the games that he wanted because of the constraints on build of materials. Now, the rumor is everybody has the same build of materials, and so everybody uses those differently. So is that a designer issue, or is he just not know how to make something more cost effective? I felt Black Knight would have been a much better game if they were able to put something up on that upper playfield other than the cannon.
yeah,
I or the catapult, excuse me. I would have rather had pop bumpers, targets, whatever on that upper playfield and ditch the whole uh, catapult thing. But who knows? Maybe a new company, new environment. Steve may pull a rabbit out of his hat.
See, and I'm really intrigued by this because, like you said, Steve has said time and time again in interview after interview since
Hmm.
his departure from Stern
Yeah,
that he was hamstrung or handcuffed
right.
because of the bill of material. Let's talk his last 3 games really quick, just really quickly.
Okay.
Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
which in my opinion is just Star Trek, but not crappier design, sorry. The shots are a little more tight but findable, I guess.
It's a more challenging shot selection. Yes,
Yep,
Star Trek. I mean, it's wide open.
yep,
And, like you can hit those ramps.
yep,
Led Zeppelin is not that easy.
correct. Black Knight: Sword of Rage,
Hmm.
which I really think's a good game. You're
It
and I
it felt like there was something missing though.
yeah.
It felt
Well,
like the pro's actually better than the premium
yeah,
because it plays better. But the you're if you're gonna do a release, it would like to be doing a Star Wars sequel like without you're like, hey, we're making a sequel to Empire Strikes Back, but it's not going to have Yoda or the Force in it. And
Yeah.
that's kinda how it felt with an empty playfield, an
Well,
upper playfield, excuse me.
and I just didn't see the cost difference for the upper playfield. And granted, the topper is one of the best toppers in pinball.
Topper was awesome. I actually just sold my topper. Just
Nice.
my friend actually sold his Black Knight LE because he wanted a pro.
Yeah.
And so he texted and said, "Hey, would you be willing to sell me the topper on the contingency that if you want it back when I sell it, then you can buy it?" And I said, "Sure."
Yeah.
So
I really think the mech for that was cool, but overall, it fell flat sales wise.
right.
Star Wars, which is obviously going to sell no matter what you put in it, they've proven that time and time again.
Yeah.
But I still felt like this was another.
Felt empty. It did. It just I wanted an LE, and once it was released, I backed out. It's one of the few games where I actually backed out after I saw it, and
Yep.
I don't regret backing out.
Game of Thrones, I would argue that's probably his
Yeah, Game
last
of
hit.
Thrones is theme's a big thing for me,
Yeah.
and that's not my theme. So
I guess Star Wars was a hit in the regards that like it
it
sold a
was.
lot.
It did.
It was ever I still see it on location. It's
Mm-hmm.
still, yeah. But Game of Thrones was really good. And then before that, you've got Star Trek,
Mm-hmm.
then ACDC, 24, Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
World Poker Tour, which was amazing. It was a really good game. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Elvis, which was all right.
Yeah.
Terminator 3, which was really good. I just looking from when he started at Stern to Terminator 3, it just feels like some of these games are revered as some of the best games ever made.
Some of them.
I mean, heck, we account ACDC for the revival of pinball.
Okay. Yes, ACDC is an unqualified home run.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
His
Star
other
Trek's
ones,
amazing. It's a fun game. It
it
really
is.
is.
So you have ACDC, you have Star Trek. The other ones, I would say, were more good efforts,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say a long term owner.
Yeah. So I guess overall, it's going to be interesting because Steve Ritchie has proved that he can make a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, those last three were a little rough, especially Led Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting,
Yeah.
especially with Elton John. I feel like is a hurdle to get over. I'm not hearing anyone that's like, oh, I just Elton John is the game, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he could pull it off.
Yeah,
There's certainly a lot of catchy songs, and you don't have to have a rock band to do it. It could be he has a lot of fast songs,
yeah,
and so it can still be done right. And not everything has to be like it has to be a rock band.
yeah. True.
It doesn't. I mean, Pink would be a great. I've said it before. Pink would be a great pinball machine.
Yeah, Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars, yeah,
I was listening to the Ramones today. I'm like, why hasn't this ever been made? They were banned from the 60s/70s.
yeah. I don't know. It seems like most people remember the Ramones for who they are and maybe what they represented to the punk scene. I'm not sure too many people are still listening to the Ramones though.
What are you talking about? It's been like the last three Spider-Man movies. It's been Shazam. I mean,
Okay,
I feel like there's still some relevance to Ramones that
I
even the
think you get
younger
tired of it.
generation.
You get tired of the Ramones, like many people, not me, but many people felt like they get tired of Iron Maiden's music.
Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. So we have a couple minutes left,
Okay.
and we got hit up by Kineticus. So Colin over there says that let's do a big collab. And what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna talk about our top 5 favorite current pinball machines. Let's just do a quick synopsis because a lot of these games, Scott and I kind of discussed this because it kind of leaves open some room. We're going to try to aim for games from 2012 to
Right.
now because that's current and kind of what we're playing most. So I guess let's Scott, do you want to start off with number 5? Let's go 5 down to 1.
Who? Wow. I don't know if I could rank them all.
Do you want me to go first then?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to go in the number 5 spot, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think it
Mm,
is a great
okay.
throwback to 90s games,
Okay.
mode-based, very straightforward, shoot this, do that.
Okay.
I loved the music. The voice call-outs were great. There were some shortcomings that, like, the animation was a little rough, but overall, it was a game that I always was enjoying stepping up to. I sadly sold mine, but to get to Godzilla. So,
Right.
but really, I still think if you want a good butt-kicking game,
Mhm.
it's Ninja Turtles, and if you're into tournaments, and you're in a tournament, and there's a Turtles in there, and you know how to play it,
Yep.
you do have the advantage. I know a lot of people steer away from it.
Mhm.
Uh, Last tournament I played with the Turtles in it, I always went to it, and I kicked butt. So
Yeah.
if you can learn a Turtles, it's definitely to advantage to you. So, what's yours, Scott? What's your number 5?
Number 5. I am going to say, looking over. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit of a throwback from 2012 on.
Okay.
I'm still going to put Metallica in there.
Oh,
Metallica it's a great game, and
yeah,
it moved a ton of units. Now, I will say it's been, I think everybody has moved on from Metallica, but I'm still going to put, which Borg am I going to put in the top? Would I, in this hurts me, but would I put Metallica in, or would I put Rush in? And I think Metallica just edges out just because of its it's brutal, it's hard, but it's also lean. Like Rush
yeah,
is awesome, but it seems like there's a little more going on. So I'm going to give
yeah,
Metallica bonus points for accomplishing something amazing on a smaller scale than
yeah.
Rush. So I'll put Metallica in there.
I don't disagree with you. It's a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 for me, I'm gonna go with Avengers: Infinity Quest. This is a game I keep consistently coming back to.
Mm-hmm.
It's one that I do have to put down for a little bit, but when I come back, I still the flow on this game is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it just I don't know if there's a better shooting game out there right now, which makes me feel sad because, like, Avengers, for some odd reason, is put at the bottom of L1's list, but still at 24 or 25 is the spot. You can't complain with those results.
No, it's still great.
Still a great game. I love being able to it I think the hiccup is people always focus on the gems, and really
Mm-hmm.
the object of the game is to assemble your Avengers and go after Thanos and do
Yeah.
that 3 times. But the gems are so fun. There's just something about starting reality, ripping that disc, getting all the lights lit up, and
Yeah.
getting a multi-ball in there with it and just start slaying it.
And it
It
is
just
awesome. It's one of the few games that the shots go up.
yeah,
Like they go up on the playfield, and it's really cool. I
yeah.
wish that the Captain Marvel shot were a little more dialed in, but yes, it is. Every time I think of, oh, okay, well, which one do I, which Elwyn game would I sell?
Yeah.
Sadly, it is the one that bubbles up. But then I go play it, and I'm just like, this is so different than the other ones. I can't.
It's
So
funny though, because to me, like, Avengers is more refined, which obviously it should be than Iron Maiden,
yeah,
but Iron Maiden gets such a higher praise,
right.
but I don't know if it's because it was his first game and people just was like, "Wow."
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy Iron Maiden, I own it, I have the Pro right there, you can
Right.
see it in my screen, but there's a clunkiness to Iron Maiden that I don't enjoy.
Okay.
When you hit a shot and it doesn't register because the ball came up off the path, or it gets frustrating. Where in Avengers, I feel like minus the Captain Marvel ramp, which I have mine
Hmm.
dialed in, so it punishes you if you don't hit it clean. If you hit it
Right.
clean, it's going around 10
It's
out of
great.
10
Yeah, it
times.
feels
Yeah.
so smooth. Yeah.
Mine feels like butter, so I have no complaints with my Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But that just once I got my Avengers dialed in,
Yeah.
it just every shot registers. I feel like I earned my score in that game. Where with Iron Maiden, there's been multiple times I've gotten to the end and something's ricocheted. And again, it's pinball. That's pinball, right?
Sure.
But that's like one of the reasons I don't like Houdini. Like Houdini ricochets so
Houdini's
bad
brutal. It's
out of the
brutal.
theater that
Hmm.
I don't want to play a game where I get frustrated. I
Right.
want to play a game I enjoy.
Okay.
or I feel like if I did lose, it's because of my fault, not because the game
Okay.
was crappy. So that's my number 4, Avengers.
Okay. My number 4 is Stranger Things.
Nice.
I would say that it started out, and yes, people looked at it and said, "Ah, geez, this we've seen this before." Okay.
Mhm.
However, every single two flipper game has the same shots. I'm going to break it to you. Like there's basically 7 shots that you can make off those flippers.
Yes.
And so if you're doing a two flipper game, it's going to feel the same.
Yes.
Now, it was cut short, and I'm really glad they brought it back because it is an upgraded version of Revenge from Mars, Attack from Mars, which is a classic.
Yep.
So it's doing it equal, and it's equally good, but updated. So I'm going to take Stranger Things as my number 4. And I'm
Okay.
glad that people have the ability to buy it now. If you want it and you missed out, buy it.
Yep. All right. So my number 3, I am going to go with Guns and Roses.
Okay.
This game is full immersion. You always talk about World Under Glass.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. Like, Stern might be the kings of tournament play and everything like that, but just you feel like you're in a Guns N' Roses concert.
Mm-hmm.
It feels so good. It's cool to see, like, having different items from the band members on the play field, like the drumsticks as a ramp,
Mm-hmm.
and just building up that combo, and it's that whole risk reward factor built into it. It's a really fun game. It's a beautiful game.
Mm-hmm.
I think overall, it's one of the pinnacles for Jersey Jack. It may not be mechanically the best, like Pirates of the Caribbean, which I would almost tie with Guns N' Roses for my
Sure.
third. But I really there's something about Guns N' Roses, the the light show that
Mm-hmm.
is immersed and connected to the footage of the game. It's just so mesmerizing playing this game or watching someone else play it. It takes a little bit to get into. That
Yeah.
is my only one downfall is you don't really feel like you can enjoy the game until you get stuff going. And
Mm-hmm.
it takes a little bit to get going. But once you open up this game, it's a blast.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So that's your number 3.
yeah.
My number 3 is Deadpool. Deadpool had that boomerang action where when it came out, people said, "Ah, this is simple. This is a throwback. This is not worth your time. Nothing to write home about."
Yeah.
Okay. As people got to play it more and more, there is maybe this is a theme on my preference on pinball machines, but there is an elegance to simplicity, especially when it's done well.
Yeah.
And Deadpool is a simple game that is done so well. It is the game that I moved upstairs so I could move Cactus Canyon down, but it was kind of because it was the main game I was going to, and I needed to swap it up. I still have no interest in selling it,
Yeah.
but I swapped it out of my collection so I would be driven to play some of these other games.
Yep.
So Deadpool is my number 3.
Great game. And it's one that I consider putting on my list. And I'm glad you put it in yours because I'm like, it needs some recognition. It is a
Right,
really
and
good
I
game.
want them. I'm cheating a little bit because when you put Guns N' Roses in, I I wanted to make room for other games in the list
Yes.
because I'm glad that you put Guns N' Roses in because yes, you are right that it is an experience.
Yes.
I uh, Again, I prefer the streamlined approach of a Deadpool.
All right. I don't know if this one's considered cheating since we said like games from 2012,
Uh-huh.
like ACDC to newer. But this game did get a remake in 2017, Attack from Mars, and it has to be the Ellie. That topper
Yeah.
is just one of the best, make you smile,
Yep.
goofiest. Just I I don't regret selling any of my pinball machines, but if I could get one back,
Yeah.
I really think it'd be my Attack from Mars. What it was once described to me that Attack from Mars is like the epitome of pinball, right? It
Yep.
is just fun joy in a box. And the way that Chicago Gaming Company has updated this game with the mirror blades and the LEDs
Hmm.
and just the sound is so good, so
Yeah.
good on a CGC. It's funny. I almost say they don't need shaker motors because you turn those up and you'll feel the game shaking in your hand. They're
Right.
built like a tank. It There's a reason that these games are highly sought after and
Hmm.
resell for high prices. I really wish Chicago Gaming Company would release a new game once a year and then do
And a
a
vault. A
do a
vault.
vault
Yep.
either the same year or the next year. Give yourself,
Yep.
because it takes a couple years for them to come out with a game. Please, Doug, if you're listening, you've got to start putting out more of these games. There's still a high demand. I know that pinball is tapering off in the market, but there's still a high demand for Medieval Madness Attack from Mars. I mean, people are even looking for Cactus Canyon, which shocks me because when we both discussed it when it first came out, it just wasn't getting the hype I thought it would until it released. And it's just CGC knows how to take these games and make something magical out of them.
Hmm.
And Attack from Mars for me is that.
Yeah.
And there is, like I said, it is the epitome of like 1990s code. Like we all cling onto that 90s era because it's kind of a great entry point where it's more modern
Yep.
but still simplistic, right?
Yep.
It's easy to understand rules, but you're still feeling like you're not playing a 1960s EM. If you haven't played Attack from Mars and Ellie, you have to. It's hilarious.
Yep.
There's call outs.
It's absolutely funny. Yeah.
It's memorable. It's everything. And one of my favorite parts is if you've never done
Time
this,
for tea.
time for tea. If you're going after when all the aliens start jumping on the
Yep.
playfield and you've got to knock them down to start Martian multi-ball.
Yep.
If you leave the one by the scoop for the very last and you miss him and hit it into the scoop, he will laugh at you and say, haha, you missed.
Mm.
Just funny little quirky things like that, right?
Yep.
It's just a great game. So that's number 2 in my heart, Attack from Mars.
Okay. I'm cheating.
Dang
I'm
you.
declaring that I'm cheating. So my number 2 is all 4 CGC remakes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I thought
Okay.
mine was cheating, but
Yeah. All 4 CGC remakes because they are the games that my kids want to play.
okay.
Yes, they will fail in depth of code. They will fail. The only one of those 4, Cactus Canyon, Monster Bash, Medieval Madness, and Attack from Mars, the only one that is tournament ready is Attack from Mars.
Yeah.
Because it still has that risk. Like any other, like the Travis Murray's out there, the Tom Graffs out there, they're going to kill these games. But when I brought Cactus Canyon down, that was the game that my kid just played over and over again. And so, for the sake of the new generation, we need more pinball like that in the modern era, in that they're fun and they're still fun to play.
Yeah.
So, finding that balance, maybe there's a theme in my list is there's something to be said for elegant simplicity.
Yep.
So that and the toppers, my gosh, they are amazing. Like all 4 of those toppers. The one downside with Cactus Canyon is that no one wants to buy it without the topper because the topper is so cool. So
Yep.
find a way. I agree with you. Keep pushing these things out. Figure out a way to make the next the next remake. Like do a Whitewater. Your Whitewater would be amazing. And the only problem is I'd have to find ways of collecting all of them because I don't think I can sell any of them.
I agree.
So that's why it is my number 2, in that my kids won't let me sell any of them.
All right. Number 1.
I think, do you want to say it together?
Yeah. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Godzilla.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
It really is not even close. That the gap between 1 and 2, it's like Tiger Woods at his heyday when he was so far above every other golfer that it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And that is amazing to me that we have almost 100 years of pinball. And I even add like the modern flipper era, okay?
Yeah.
Like how many games are out there, and the number one game justifiably rated is a game that was released last year,
2
2
years
years
ago,
ago, two
actually.
years
I wanna
ago,
say
2 years.
yeah.
Yeah. So 2000, yeah, 2 years ago, 2021. So that is just, it's amazing to me that it is fun, casual, it is fun, deep. And again, Keith Elwin is the king of elegant simplicity.
Yep.
He does. He makes games that new people can understand and tournament people still like.
I think not only that, he's learned how to dangle the carrot
Yep.
so that you feel like it's close enough that's achievable,
Yep.
but it's still hard enough that you wanna come back for more.
Yep.
And I think it doesn't matter if you're a newbie or if you are, you know, Travis Murray or Keith Elwin. There is just something about Godzilla that is just amazing. It's the little nuances in the code. It's the way the game
Mm-hmm.
metamorphosizes as you're playing it. The mechs, which are simplistic but still amazing. It's what pinball should have. It's what Adam's Family did for pinball in the '90s.
Right.
Is
It's
what
the same
Godzilla has
thing.
done. Yes,
Yeah.
it's
There
even
will
though
be a post Godzilla and a pre Godzilla
yeah,
because it is the new standard.
and
And by the way, I will say elegant simplicity. Keith has done that. However, there are so many options on Godzilla that it's not like you're doing the 5 things or the 5 modes.
yeah,
Like you can attack that game from so many areas
yep.
and you still won't be done, but you don't feel lost like Wizard of Oz, where
Well,
it's
and the other
just
thing
it's just so complex that you're like, I don't know where I'm going.
well, and it seems like pinball is very much like line up the dominoes and then
Right.
knock them over, right? Like
Right.
you're trying to get them all lined up, and sometimes in pinball, you only get about half of them lined up, and then you gotta knock them down because you're on ball 3,
Mhm.
and this is the best you're getting, right? And it's that wood choppiness, right? Like, you
Yep.
think of Medieval Madness, you think of Attack from Mars. I'm getting the
Yeah.
dominoes lined up to
Mhm.
the
A
Castle
in
Madness.
in in some ways, even though I love Metallica, it's the same thing, like,
Same thing.
do a Crank It Up again,
But
so
Keith Elwin has found some way to make you feel still accomplished, even if you don't send up all the dominoes, and 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna get to the end of this. I've been to Planet X, like, 3, 4 times,
yeah,
and
and you've put,
and I
like, 3,000 games on it, at
I don't know if I
least.
put that much,
Yeah.
but it's just it's I still feel accomplished getting to the mini wizard mode of
Mhm.
either Terror of Mechagodzilla or of, Monster Zero.
Mhm.
And that it's what I love about it is it gives it to you as you're playing the game. It's like,
Mhm.
you've done these things that you've been already doing. Let's give you a mode for achieving that. Where a lot of the other games, like
Mhm.
take Ninja Turtles, for example, or even
Mhm.
Foo Fighters, you have to complete those modes.
Yeah.
Like Foo Fighters is a great example of this. Like you start the mode, you need to complete it. If you're not, your city is flashing, and you will not get to the in the mini wizard mode.
Mhm.
You need to do those 4 things so you can get to it's a multi-ball. You can either go to I wanna say it's either Austin, Texas, or it's, like, Washington, DC, I think is the 2
Mhm.
places for the mini. And yeah, like, and Guardians of the Galaxy does the same thing, right?
Right.
It's like you have to fight to get to that mini wizard mode, where Godzilla is like, "Oh, you've been playing long enough, you've earned
There you
the
go.
mini wizard mode." Yeah.
Mhm.
If you're paying attention, you can get them pretty easily.
Right.
And that I think that's the direction pinball should be going, like,
Mhm.
rewarding you for playing longer. Like, there is if you want tournament play, then go with tournament play, like, get rewarded for making all the shots, and I get it, like, people complain, Godzilla rewards you for
Mhm.
flailing sometimes, and that's kind of the case in some instances, but sometimes it isn't.
Right.
You know, I feel like I actively have to decide whether I'm going for points, I'm going for depth in the game
Right.
because I hate to tell you this, there's people having broken a billion on that game. I can get a billion in Tokyo before leaving it. So
Hmm.
it's just how you approach the game.
Yep.
All right. Well, that does it for our list. One last question he had for us. What do we love most about pinball right now?
I
I've been
like the.
thinking
Go ahead. Go
okay.
ahead. I want you to go first.
I've been thinking about this a lot. I really think it's the community. It's something we talked about earlier. I mean, it's even like, Colin reaching out to us saying, hey, there's this concept that someone else came up with. Do you want to run with it? It's like,
Right.
yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
You know, I, like I said, 9 times out of 10, the community is pretty amazing. Yes, there are their trolls. They know they're trolls. They're not abashed by it one bit. They're not ashamed of it. So, but overall, I look at other. Let me give you an example really quick, and I'll be super quick about this. I played Diablo on the phone. I haven't played Diablo in years. I love Diablo 2. I never was able to play 3. So I can't remember what the name is for. It's like Diablo Immortal or something like that.
Okay.
And it dumbfounded me that a mature game that had a bunch of adults playing it was so toxic and
Hmm.
immature and just spiteful. And this is supposedly a tight knit group that makes clans and runs these things, but
It
it
was
was poison.
poisonous. It's
It was
poisonous.
poisonous,
Yeah.
and it ended up
Especially to new players. They destroy new people
correct, and
and
it
then
was
call
funny
them
'cause
idiots. Yeah.
yeah, and they make fun of you for not even knowing, and it's funny in
Hmm.
pinball, it's like, if you've ever been to a tournament and you don't have to know very much. If you go to a tournament,
Hmm.
people will say, "Hey, this is what you do," or "This is what
Yeah.
you can do to improve," or like you will get help out of the gate because I firmly believe it's like the first time we did Salt Lake Gaming Con,
Hmm.
or the second time, sorry, Bo and Karen showed up, and I walked over to Bowen because at that time he was like top 30 player somewhere on there.
Hmm.
He might still be. I can't remember. I haven't looked at the list very long. But I walked over to Bowen. I said, I've never seen a Starship Troopers in my life. What do I do? And he's like, I'll boil it down to two things. And I can't remember. It was like, shoot this shot so many times, and then you're going to shoot like one of the bugs or something.
Hmm.
And it's going to be your jackpot and multi ball. And that's really all you're going to do. That's the two things. And it was funny because like he told me those two things. I went and played Starship Troopers. I came back. I told him my score, and he's like, "That was your score? Like that's a really good score for a game you've never played before."
Hmm.
But it was like it didn't bother him, and maybe he didn't feel threatened. I don't know, but I feel like every tournament I've been to, everyone's been very nice to be like, "What can I do to help?
Right.
Like, are you enjoying yourself?" Like, there's only been two instances I can stand out in my mind where I did a tournament. We played I love actually pin golf. I know
Hmm.
people probably think I'm crazy for it, but I did a hole in one on Twilight Zone. It was doing all the locks and starting multi ball, something like that. I can't remember, but I did it. It was kind of hard, and Jeff Rivera of the Pinball Podcast was partnered up with me, and he's like, "Holy crap, that was amazing!" And there was only one dude who was like, it's only Twilight Zone. Like, you didn't do that great. But everyone else is like, you did great, like
Hmm.
regardless if they believed it or not.
Right.
And so, but my point being is the community is amazing. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's tournament, doesn't matter if it's podcast, it doesn't matter what it be. I mean, look at Dan Rostenstein. And that
Hmm.
dude, we were signing his autograph book last Expo, and now the dude has his own podcast. If you haven't
Right.
checked it out, Pinnovators on TPN, give it a listen. It is pretty amazing. It's pretty good stuff. So
Yeah. I was actually texting Dan yesterday. So it was interesting because we were talking a little bit about just the industry and just kind of looking at it from a fan standpoint. And I actually passively said, yeah, well, I get it. My undergrad was mechanical engineering. And
yeah,
he's just like, I knew there was something about you. Because I don't know what his major was, but he certainly has that background too. That actually transitions right into my love of pinball is that it's physical,
yes,
that you actually have a connection to the machine that's not filtered through a screen or an algorithm. I mean, you are. It is something that if you take the glass off, you could grab the ball.
Yep.
And so I love that it's something that it feels real in a world that has increasingly turned artificial.
I agree.
So everything you said about the community, 100% true. I still remember when I put two and two together that Jeff Rivera was local, because I had just barely bought, I think, Spider-Man, and I
Mhm.
was trying to figure out a little bit more of how to use it. And he was driving out to pick up Ghostbusters for the release party, and so it was interesting, and he was very welcoming, and I had lots of questions, and just it was a very good experience. But I just love having something that I can physically interact with. That it feels real. It feels retro. It feels it's a pre social media experience.
I agree. Well, Scott, my camera has officially died. I have pulled a
I can
Travis
tell you
Murray.
you're frozen there.
Yep, it's an El Gato no signal. Oh, it's
El
not even
Gato
that.
no signal.
They could have taken a better picture to freeze on. Oh well, it is what
That's
it
okay.
is. But I appreciate you joining me tonight and us doing this. And I guess the next time we talk, it's going to be we. I don't know. We might get an episode in before for Expo. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see if we can do it, because you're probably going to be very busy getting ready to go. So,
We'll see what happens. So
but definitely hit up Josh if you are going to Expo. And hey, if you see something cool, message me, because I want to live vicariously through you. So
definitely.
let me know.
So, all right, man. Well, if you want to get a hold of us, you can get a hold of us through loserkidpinballpodcast@gmail.com. We're also available on all the socials at loserkidpinball, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, you should do it. And same with our podcast and whatnot as well. We appreciate all the people that have been reaching out. Quick shout out to Pinball Hands. That is from the Game People. He listened to our episode with Don and loves that we talked about his stuff. And he enjoys Pinball podcasts and been listening to ours for a really long time, he said. And he enjoys that we stay mostly on topic. We don't talk about pizza toppings, which don't listen to our Expo or our TPF episode. I guess that was more about people stealing pizza, not
People stole pizza. It was pinball relevant. Yeah.
it was very pinball relevant.
Hey, if you're wearing any of our swag, hats, shoes, backpack, shirt, whatever, take a picture with Josh. Find him at Expo. I want to see a picture.
Definitely. And I'm going to be wearing my shoes, so we'll twin out. So
Okay, sounds good. See you guys soon.
see you soon.